Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. We are really appreciative of your time and interest in the Euro Challenge. So this is a 1 hour long information session in which we will be presenting to you various and notable merits of the Euro Challenge. We'll be getting into a lot of details regarding the competition, how students will be challenged to hone their various skills around responding to a topic related to the Euro Challenge, how they'll be judged. There'll be several rounds of competition involved, and accompanying prize money, trophies, and awards will be provided to the various winners. So we're very excited to kick this off with your active participation. But first, I'd like to introduce our good friend, Ben Carliner, who is a senior economist, delegation of the European Union to the United States. And he's been an avid and important supporter of our program for some time. So he'd like to begin and kick this program off by giving you his unique perspective on what the Euro Challenge means to the delegation. Ben?
Thanks very much, Dario, and thanks to all of you watching today. This is really a great competition, and I wanted to give you a little background on how it works and what's been going on. Basically, the Euro Challenge competition was started by the EU way back in 2005, and since that time, we've had about 1,000 teachers and over 6,000 students participate in the Euro Challenge. And I think the vast majority of them have had a great time and really learned a lot. Originally, the program, the funding to support the program came from the desire of the European Union to introduce students to the new single currency, the euro, and also, of course, promote strong transatlantic ties. And it's been one of our most effective outreach programs, and you know, as you can tell, we're still running it today. Now, over the years, the competition has been through, the global economy has been through a lot of ups and downs. We've experienced everything from the global financial crisis to the European sovereign debt crisis to now we've got the COVID pandemic. And one of the things that's important about the competition is that beyond providing an introduction to economics for the students who participate, it's also been, for many kids, the first opportunity that they've had to think about the problems and things that are happening in their real lives, how to think about it from the perspective of a policymaker. You know, many of the students participating over the years have, maybe they've seen a family member or a friend lose their jobs in one of these economic crises that have occurred. And that's real and that's serious, and can be, you know, hard to deal with. But it's another thing to actually step into the shoes of a policymaker, somebody who works at the Treasury or at the central bank, or you know, in Wall Street or at a major company, and think about what they can do to actually solve these problems. And that's for me one of the key things and the key values of what the Euro Challenge competition provides to students is this perspective of having an experience that maybe they've had some personal relationship to, but then thinking about it in broader terms and how you can create effective institutions and effective policies to solve the challenges that we all face. Now, I'm not going to lie to you. If you're hoping to win the competition, you're going to have a really solid presentation. It's not easy. The teams that win do a really good job. But from my perspective, that's one of the benefits of this thing, because the top 2 teams we take every year, we give them a trip to Washington, D.C., and we take them around Washington and give them a tour of the U.S. Treasury and the IMF. And we always bring them to the embassy of the country that they have chosen to do their presentation on. And over the years, particularly back in the day when Europe had its sovereign debt crisis, one of the most enjoyable things for me to see was how interesting and effective the kids did their analysis, and what solutions they came up with to solve these problems. And when they're presenting them at the member state embassies, it was often very funny, because the representatives of the embassy would sometimes get a little bit defensive, because they'd be like, the students would be saying something like, well, youth unemployment in Spain is a really big problem, and these are the things that we propose to fix it. And they were great ideas, and they were so good that sometimes the counselors would say, well, yeah, we are doing stuff like that, but the problem isn't maybe as bad as the kids said. But they really, everyone enjoyed these things, and the kids were very proud to be able to go up and be taken seriously by professionals who deal with this stuff every day. So we do hope that the competition inspires not just thinking about how to solve these problems, but a lifelong interest in economics and in policymaking. And one of the other points is that if you have this interest, there's you can actually make a living working in this stuff, having an interesting job, getting paid to deal with these problems. And that's actually kind of what I do with my day. I'm not really, solving all the world's problems, but we do work on these issues here at the delegation in Washington. And, my world, I'm an American, and I, got an interest in economics and policymaking at a relatively young age, studied it in university, went on to get a graduate degree, and then one thing led to another, and finally I ended up getting this job at the EU delegation, where in my world, my colleagues are everyone from staffers who work for the US Treasury Department to people who work at the Federal Reserve or the International Monetary Fund, and also the economic and financial counselors from EU member state embassies who are here in Washington. So there's a lot of, if you really do develop an interest in this stuff from the Euro Challenge competition, there's a lot of opportunities to go on and to study and learn more, and even potentially to work and get a job in these fields. So there's a lot of good things that can come from participating in the Euro Challenge. And I do hope that all or most of you who are watching today, if you're interested, please go ahead, form a team, come to some of the other orientations that we're going to be offering in the future. And it'll give you a great introduction to learning, not just about some basic economic concepts, but how Europe and the European Union work, how policymakers think about solving problems from high unemployment to climate change to inequality and a lot of other important things. And so with that, let me just say thank you. Please tune in and please join the competition. And we're going to have another great event this year, a great competition this year. And if you do join, I wish you good luck. So with that, I will sign off and say, have a good day.
Thank you very much, Ben. Those were great insights. And I'm sure all the students listening today are supercharged to sign up immediately after the conclusion of the session. I really appreciate your enthusiasm and advocacy for the Euro Challenge. There are clearly many benefits available to all students, and we look really forward to your participation. So why don't we go to the next slide and begin giving you some more details on the Euro Challenge itself. As we just saw, it's funded by the European Union, and Kyla and I are members of a nonprofit financial education organization based here in New York City, that won a substantial contract to implement the Euro Challenge on the EU's behalf. So effectively, we are their American or local contractors. We have an excellent consortium of business partners who are helping us with the implementation. And then we also have some excellent regional partners throughout the United States. Perhaps you will be hearing from them as they kick off their marketing and outreach campaigns to reach out to American schools and ask you all to participate in this fantastic program. So we are deeply grateful to the European Union for sponsoring this program again and enabling us to deliver it to you. Next slide, please. So let's look at the Euro area and what it means to us. So although the actual Euro challenge that we're talking about today launched in 2005, there's a tremendous amount of history that already exists between the Euro area and the United States and certainly other countries and continents throughout the world. So it's a remarkable opportunity to do a deep dive and commit to studying one of several topics related to a very important strategic and interesting part of the world. There are many countries within the Euro area, and it's remarkable that they've created this United States of Europe, if you will, despite many different obstacles, such as the unavailability of a common language, disparate cultures, different approaches to social and geopolitical issues. So it's really great to see that the Euro area is still functioning and thriving by rights. So getting back to my original thought about how the Euro area has been significant in global history, European monarchies and wealthy nations began authorizing and funding explorers and adventurers beginning in the 14th century to come over to this new world and explore America and look for opportunities to create trade opportunities. So this has been continued for the last several hundred years. And of course, we can see that this is a strategic effort that still exists today. But moving beyond the obvious economic history of the Euro area and its significant contributions to world history, perhaps this is even a personal opportunity for you to reflect on any heritage that you or your family may have with European countries. Perhaps you have had the good fortune to visit some of their extraordinary cities. There are so many cultural landmarks and notable places in Europe to witness culture firsthand. I hope you've had an opportunity to travel to Europe, and if not, I hope that you will in the future. Perhaps some of you already speak a European language, which are so important to the Eurozone. So really looking forward to introducing you to new aspects of your own history if you do happen to have that heritage there. For those of you who do not, I'm sure that won't be a hindrance, but rather an opportunity to get to know a continent in Europe that is truly remarkable and one of the most important areas in the world. So the Euro Challenge is, I think, uniquely positioned to give you a great opportunity to access one of the most important regions economically, geopolitically, socially in the world. Next slide, please. So there's clearly a lot of opportunities for those of you who do participate to capture your participation with the Euro Challenge on your resume. I'm sure some of you have already started thinking beyond high school and what you want to do and major in college. So for those of you who have been tinkering with the idea of following an academic career path in economics, social studies, world history, European history, I think I mentioned economics, financial history, and many other aspects of humanities, the Euro Challenge and your experience here dovetails perfectly with that. So when you do consider applying to universities, if that is your destiny, I think reference of the Euro Challenge participation will look wonderful on your resume. You'll be given an opportunity to network with professionals. Here we have a wonderful aspect of the organization called the Euro Challenge Institute, where, if you like, your teams could be paired with financial service industry volunteers, specifically who are associated with a European-based bank, but who have careers here in the United States. And they have volunteered to help you shape your presentations in preparation for presenting them to the panel of judges in the spring of 2022. So you'll have excellent access to professionals who are well-versed and conversant in the various topic questions that we have made available as part of this year's Euro Challenge. They'll be able to meet with you virtually and discuss your forthcoming presentations. You can enter some kind of a mock judging competition with these volunteers and really be as best prepared as possible for the competition itself. For those of you few lucky finalists, as Ben mentioned, you'll be receiving an opportunity to travel to Washington, D.C. and meet the ambassador of the European Union to the United States, as well as senior diplomats from the EU. And then we're also very grateful to the Moody's Foundation that has generously provided cash prizes for the winners. So with your participation in the Euro Challenge, you'll open yourself up to a plethora of great skills that you can carry with you into college, your career, and even beyond. So first and foremost, once you select the topic question and the country that you want to focus on, you'll do a deep dive into research and policy review. So the proverbial spigot will be opened. You'll be able to ingest all kinds of material from your library, from the internet, from third parties and various other sources to really do a comprehensive sweep of a particular issue so that you become deeply knowledgeable of it. But then you have to take it a step further, of course, and suss out the most important aspects of your research and facilitate a strong approach to data analysis and data collection. And here you'll begin to formulate the foundation of your presentation. This will then dovetail into critical thinking, an aspect of policymakers that is so important, because you'll have to then be challenged to apply your own knowledge and intuition and independent research to validate the research you've already done and begin to formulate some policy positions in response to the topic question that you selected. You're also going to be given an opportunity to hone your written and oral communication skills. There's going to be several team members on your team. And so together, working as one solid team, you will be challenged to develop good public speaking skills and to be able to really sharpen and crystallize your thoughts into a discrete presentation for the judges. Finally, it's a great opportunity to make friends. If you are teamed up with schoolmates that you haven't worked on projects before, and we really think that you'll have a great time with the Euro Challenge.
Okay, thank you, Daria. Hi, everybody. So my name is Kyla Duarte, and I am the Senior Program Manager for the Euro Challenge. And I'm going to go through some of the next slides. So our new features. So although all of the people on the webinar today will be potential schools or new schools, here are some features that we just want to let you know about that we recently added. So one of the first features is allowing, instead of just one team of 3 to 5 students to participate and compete, we're allowing each school to put up 2 if they would like. So with that, that just increases the scope of students that we're able to reach, and we're able to encourage more students to participate in the Euro Challenge and in turn learn more about Europe, the Euro, and economics as a whole. We will make sure, though, that even if a couple of schools or multiple schools put up more than one team, that only one of their teams would be able to advance to the finals in order to be spreading the wealth. In addition, we, like this, will be doing a series of virtual regional webinars, orientations that will really help our students to understand what the need is, what they need to do, how they need to do it, tips and tricks, and kind of learning a little bit more about those economic concepts, which we will talk about a little bit later, and the challenge questions that they will be asked. In addition, we will not be allowing schools to use the same challenge topic 2 years in a row. So the reasoning for this is we want you, teachers and students, to be trying new things, right? So we don't want, oh, you did a great presentation on unemployment in Spain, let's just use that for the next 5 years. We want you to continue to be learning, continue to be growing, and because of that, we want to make sure that, to do that, we're making sure that you aren't choosing the same topic 2 times in a row. And then finally, to further that diversity, inclusion, and equity, we're really trying to engage our Title I schools. So if you are a Title I school, we are offering that you all can participate for all grades of high school. So for the competition, normally it is just 9th and 10th grade high school students. However, if you are a Title I school, we are expanding that to 12th grade. And with that, we find that may help students who may be receiving that economics education a little bit later still be able to be involved in the competition and further their knowledge. Okay, moving on. So competition details, which is really what you've all been waiting for. So the competition details are that we have 3 to 5 students competing in the challenge. Now that means that 3 to 5 students are on the presenting team. So that's the team that would get the award prizes if they win. That's the team that would go to DC if they're in the top 2 teams. And that is the team that actually gives the presentation. However, that does not mean, teachers, that you cannot engage more students. You're very encouraged to engage more students to help with the process of the research and putting together the presentation, maybe engaging some of those students who would never want to be on camera and giving a presentation, but would love to dive into the research and learn more about economics and the Euro. The competition consists of a 15-minute presentation given by the students, and it is then followed by 10 minutes of Q&A. So the 10 minutes of Q&A, which we will get into a little bit later, will be judges asking questions to the teams about their topic and some economic concepts. So for presentation format, I know that this is a very difficult and different year where we are 1 foot in a pandemic and 1 foot out of a pandemic. And so we just want to ensure you that we are doing everything in your interest that is safe and healthy. And so as for right now, we are unsure if our preliminary rounds will be completely virtual or in person, and when they are, and if they are in person, we will make sure that there's a hybrid option always. So if we decide to do in person and your school is saying, no way are we sending students to a competition, don't worry, that does not mean that you can't participate. We are offering that you give your presentations through Zoom, while some other students may be able to give their presentation in person. And of course, if we decide to go completely virtual, then that means everybody will be giving their presentation via Zoom. For the semifinals and finals, we would ideally love to have them in person as they are at the Fed in New York City, and that we find that that's just a great experience for our students. However, if we feel as though it's unsafe, that will also be virtual. And we will keep you updated. So make sure the sooner that you register for the competition, the more updates you will be receiving regarding it. Okay, so now to the meat and potatoes. So the 3-part challenge question. This is what students are going to be asked to touch upon in their 15-minute presentation. So the first part is to describe the economic situation as a whole. So you want to touch on the unemployment, inflation, and GDP of the Euro area together. So not just your country, but looking at the whole Euro area. This is very important. We find that lots of schools who come in are eager, who have put in a lot of work, often forget this step, even though it's the first step. So you just want to make sure that you remember to touch on the economic situation as a whole. So the second step is to pick one of our economic challenge topics and one of the Euro challenge area countries, and then to look how that topic really affects the country that you chose. So look how that problem exists, what's going on there, what's the issue, and then here are the challenge questions that we offer. And so we'd like to keep these fresh. So even though unemployment may always be something that the Euro area is struggling with, we want to make sure that we're keeping things fresh for our students. So last year we had the opportunity of adding climate change and going green, and we were very excited, and we found that our students were very excited about this challenge topic. It's something that really engages students who may not really know much about economics, but climate change is something that's currently affecting all of us. And it was a good way to get students involved who may have not otherwise because they were intimidated by the economics. And so we're going to continue to be updating and keeping those challenge issues fresh. These are the different countries in your area that you would be able to choose from when deciding which country you want to narrow it down to. And then the last step is recommending a policy for addressing the challenge. So I think that this is kind of the best step, or the most fun and creative step. And so this step really allows students to be able to think outside the box and to really engage with the problem and create solutions that are innovative to this issue, that would solve it, and that are also feasible. So we want to make sure that you are remembering that. Although we want you to be as creative as possible, we also want you to be proposing things that we can implement, and that if you were the government, you would be able to do. And now I think I will be passing it back over to Daria.
Thanks, Kyla. I just also want to add on to that previous slide and really highlight that this Euro Challenge is a really unique opportunity in which you can simulate yourselves as true policymakers. So perhaps you're aware of a major climate change conference going on today and for the next few days in Glasgow, Scotland. Perhaps you also noticed that climate change and going green is one of our topic questions that you can select. So there are many opportunities in which you can study real events happening today, not 20 or 30 years ago, and extract from them some meaningful research and data that can inform your presentations. There was also an annual event at the United Nations called the General Assembly in September. And so here, policymakers convene with diplomats and many research institutions to talk about a lot of global affairs and related economic issues, many of which are also represented in our topic questions. So think to yourselves about how you could imagine yourselves as real policymakers discussing the same things that are being grappled with at the United Nations in Glasgow, at a recent International Monetary Fund convention in Washington, D.C. And you're really not too far removed from actual points of discourse that are going on in these hallowed institutions. So tremendous opportunity for you to experience a real world, albeit simulated economic challenge. So good luck. On this slide, we just want to provide you with several resources that are available to you. The URL for the Euro Challenge is www.euro-challenge.org. Please take a look at that at your convenience. We have lots of information, details specific to the program available there, many of which have already been shared with you in this presentation. We, together with our regional partners, will be facilitating a number of orientations throughout the fall, again, highlighting and reinforcing the many merits of the Euro Challenge program. So please look out for invitations to attend those. We are going to be mentoring student teams, again, through the WISE Institute program that I mentioned, or I'm sorry, the Euro Challenge Institute program. That's the one in which we have partnered with a European-based bank, and they have generously offered up several of their staff members as volunteers to reach out to participating teams and really help you roll up your sleeves, validate some of the information that you are researching, and come up with the best presentations possible. Next slide, please. So this is how the panel of judges will be evaluating your presentations. So on the left, we have the percentage that will be allocated to each of the topics on the right. So first, 25% of your score will be based upon your general knowledge about the EU, the Euro, and the related economic concepts. Next, 25%, again, will be allocated to your policy prescription. So this is actually getting into the topic that you have selected and the authoritative voice that you have been able to create in convincing the judges that your policy is valid. 10% then will be allocated to the quality of the presentation. Again, this dovetails into your public speaking and communication skills. Another 10% will be allocated to the depth of research and analysis. And here I think that the judges will be looking for innovative and dynamic approaches to research and analysis. I think given that they are subject matter experts, they'll be able to recognize if something has been already seen or published in academic journals or reviewed in the press. So we encourage you to really think outside the box and come up with some new, innovative, perhaps even groundbreaking analysis that hasn't been shared before. 10% will be allocated to your teamwork and cooperation. Here we really want to emphasize that the judges will not appreciate if one individual team member is effectively leading the entire team, but the judges would really like the entire team to participate as one, to be unified in their approach to the presentation, to demonstrate that they have all equally contributed to the teamwork. And then finally, a substantial portion of your presentation will be allocated to a question and answer session following the presentation itself. And here, the judges will be providing you with several questions in response to your presentation. And then you'll be given a few minutes to talk it over with your teammates, come up with a consensus opinion, and then respond accordingly to the judge's questions.
Okay, so kind of picking back off of the questions, the question and answer portion. So this is 10-minute portion, and during this portion, the judges are going to be asking you a series of questions, usually around 5 to 6 questions. And these questions are, some of them will be based off of the Euro area as a whole, and some of them will be about the content that you've provided with the judges that day. Dario, would you like to continue?
Sure, thank you.
Oh.
Right, so again, be prepared to be in a formal presentation format. Hopefully we can coordinate this at the Fed Reserve Bank in downtown New York City, as we've done in years prior. It's a wonderful venue, very historic, and especially important to American economic affairs. So if we cannot, we'll move the format to a virtual one. But whatever the case is, you'll be given an opportunity to present your findings and your presentations to a panel of esteemed subject matter experts, some of whom are representatives from the diplomatic community. Others are leading reporters and analysts from national media organizations. So we are recruiting judges presently, and we're quite sure that we'll be able to bring together an esteemed panel of judges who will be looking forward to getting your wonderful presentations, and then challenging you as part of the Q&A session to go above and beyond and really be able to defend your presentations eloquently. So be ready for that. I think it'll be a great challenge.
Yes, so now that we've talked about what we're requiring everyone to do, we would love to talk about some keys to success. So I've been here for 3 years, and we've held and put on this program for a lot of years. And so all of that experience has culminated in, these are our keys to success. So make sure that you're making notes of these. So we want to start by making sure that your chosen issue is clearly stated. Sometimes you guys get so involved in the research and excited to present that sometimes it's not even mentioned what challenge issue you guys picked, right? So we just want to make sure that that is very clear. So our suggestion is to always have the country that you chose and the chosen issue on the title page of the presentation. And then that way the judges know right from the start what they should be judging you on. And then we want to make sure that the country that you're choosing, that the issue that you chose is relevant in that country. So you want to make sure that the process of choosing the country and the process of choosing the issue kind of go hand in hand. So if you choose one first, then you want to then identify if you choose the topic first, then you want to go through and identify the different countries that have this topic as an issue, just to make sure that you aren't getting so far into the research and then you realize, you know, there isn't enough of an issue of this in this country and have to scrap it all. And then you want to make sure that you are answering all 3 parts of the challenge task. So that's what we went through earlier, talking about the Euro area as a whole, looking at your challenge issue in the country that you chose, and then providing a solution to that issue. So make sure that you're touching on all 3 parts of that. And then, of course, we want you to be innovative and creative. As Dario talked about when he was talking about the percentage for judging, we want to see solutions that we have not seen before, right? Feasible ones, but ones that are outside of the box that people may have not thought about before, and that show that you're really invested and feeling like you can be creative, but also making sure that it is feasible. And then we want you to be able to be keeping in mind the political context and the social context. The reason being is when you start your presentations in January, you may receive some new information with your country and new maybe policies that are coming into place. And you want to make sure that through each round of the competition, you are updating to make sure that you have the most up-to-date and current information for that country and issue. And then virtual keys to success. So we're not exactly sure whether or not we would need to go virtual as of yet. We're still monitoring the situation, but because it's a possibility and because we always offer a hybrid option, we want to make sure that you have the keys to success in the event that we need to run the competition virtually, or if you choose to present virtually. So you want to practice your presentation using Zoom. The reason being is, yes, like if you're in school and you're practicing in school, that's great. It's nice for you to be with your teammates and feeding off of each other. But if we have to go virtual, it feels different. It's not like Dario's right next to me, right? He's in his own space. And so to kind of curb that anxiety that can cause, practicing on Zoom really helps you to feel comfortable with the format so that you feel as though you're still able to get your amazing presentations across in a way that the judges can understand. And then you want to be sure that you're using a strong, clear voice, especially if you have to present from school where masks are often required. We want to make sure that you're really projecting, because if you're wearing a mask, it's very hard to hear you over the computer. And so if you're projecting your voice, that's ensuring that we're hearing all of your hard work. And then positioning the light towards your face. That's a big one. So some people think that if the light is behind you, that's good lighting. But actually, we've realized that you want that light to be in front of you. So it almost looks like a spotlight or you're on stage or something like that, so that we can see all of your faces, we can see your smiles, and we can see your passion as you give your presentation. And then always, if possible, sitting in front of a blank wall. I think that this is a good thing to think about if possible, because it helps to just keep away from distractions that may be in your background, like a plant or a picture frame or something like that, that could distract the audience that you're presenting to. And then especially if you're presenting in school over Zoom, you want to make sure that you're muting when you're not speaking, so that we're not picking up the audio of the person on your team who is speaking. And if you are all remote, we want to make sure that we're not hearing any background noise, and just to make sure that the person who is speaking is the only one and it's clear and concise. And then we want to make sure you have your presentation ready to share. So sometimes I get into a presentation room and the students are stumbling trying to find their presentation. You want to make sure that your presentation is ready to be pulled up and ready, so that you come across very confident and that you know what you're doing. And then if for some reason you're struggling with audio issues, we always give you the option to call in. So I have usually on all of the virtual competition format. And so I will be able to send you the phone number that you need to call into if that is a need for you, and that helps with audio. It especially helps if you're presenting at school and all 5 of you are using one computer. So that way you can kind of call in using the phone, and then your phone can be passed as if it's a microphone to ensure that the judges who are on the other side of the computer can kind of hear what you're saying. And then, of course, smile. We want to know that you guys are enjoying your experience, that you like what you're talking about, and that you feel confident. And a smile can really bring that to your presentation.
Thanks, Kyla. Those are great tips for success. So as previously mentioned, we're incredibly grateful for the Moody's Foundations for generously subsidizing a number of financial awards that we have available for first through 5th place winners. So they're broken down according to this chart that we have on the slide here. And with that said, all I can do is wish you the best of luck. I think that's a lot of money for high school students, and I'm sure you would agree with that and put it to good use for your future studies. Here we have a breakdown calendar perspective of what's coming up on the horizon in the next several months between now and May, when the competition concludes. So we're conducting onboarding and orientations and facilitating registration between now and the beginning of the new year. We'd like to keep in touch with you, those that you are motivated to register soon, and we'll be facilitating interesting webinars, we think, that will hopefully give you some valuable insights into the Eurozone topics related to the challenge, and will give you a leg up on the competition itself. The preliminary round is scheduled for late March, beginning of April, and then that will be followed by the semifinals and finals in May. Those lucky few that do proceed to the finals will be eligible to receive those cash prizes I just mentioned in the previous slide. And then the finalists will also be awarded with an education trip to Washington, D.C. to meet the ambassador of the EU to the United States, get a chance to visit the Federal Reserve as well, I believe, and have a wonderful experience exploring Washington, D.C. Kyla, do you have anything else to add to that?
Nope, that was great. Okay, so now hopefully you're thinking, oh my God, I need to register right now. How do I do it? So to register for the Euro Challenge, you're going to want to go to the Euro Challenge website, and that is euro-challenge.org. And so on that website, you will see a registration page. The registration page will have two types of registrations. It will have registration for your school, which is the first step. So that runs from August to December. Sometimes we extend it to January, depending on the year. And that means that you're saying, oh, my school wants to participate, right? That's it. We don't need to know who your team members are or any of that information yet. So you can have plenty of time to do that afterwards. So then from December to February is the second step. So that's when you register your team. So you've done tryouts, you've figured out who you want to be your 5 presenting team members, your 2 alternates, and you go, okay, this is my team. So then you get back on our registration page and you register your team. And so you want to make sure that you're completing those 2 steps. A lot of times our teachers feel if they don't have the members of their team already, that they're unable to register. And that's not true. The earlier you register, the earlier you get invited to all of these events that kind of supplement that education and help you to create better presentations. And then also on the idea of staying in the know, here is the URL to our website. We also post very often on our Facebook and Instagram page, and the delegation has provided us with the EU Top 10 newsletter that will give you some more information that may help with your presentations. Our Twitter is Eurochallenge_, and so is our Instagram. We are very active on those. You want to make sure that you're following us to see events that are upcoming, we also, if you want to be the first to know who's advanced from the preliminary rounds to the semifinal rounds, we often post that information on our Instagram and Twitter first. So we're very excited and we hope that you follow us. Okay, Dario, would you like to close?
Well, thanks everyone for attending this webinar. We hope that we've stimulated some excitement and certainly some interest in your schools. For any questions that have not been answered, please feel free to contact us directly through the Euro Challenge website. We'd like to certainly thank the European Union for generously funding this program, and most importantly for expressing a sincere interest in facilitating the understanding of American high school students of complex and pertinent issues facing the European area. So with that, we'd like to wrap up here today. Please go to the registration site immediately and register your school.
Yes.
You don't, as Kyla mentioned, you don't have to let us know who your team members are today. We can certainly give you plenty of time to noodle on that. But please do go to euro-challenge.org and register. We'll be looking forward to getting those registrations from you and hosting an excellent Euro Challenge campaign once again.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.